Hello everybody. Today you're going to learn how to use SuiteCRM workflows to automate your business processes, specifically the feature of calculated fields. My name is Bastian Hammer, your go-to expert when it comes to all things CRM, e-commerce, marketing automation, and sales integration. So let's go. Okay, I assume you've got your SuiteCRM system up and running. You and your team are working off and with the data already, and things are working smoothly. Maybe you've built the first 2-3 workflows where you're sending emails and you're creating or updating records. Now you want to go a little bit deeper on those workflows and really make full use of all the features. In order to do this, you're using calculated fields. So how to do that? We go through our 4-step process of creating workflows. First of all, you define the workflow. Second, you check the data, whether it's really there. Third, we're building the workflow. And number 4 is we're testing the workflow and eventually deploy it. Everything works fine in the testing. So let's first, in the first step, define the workflow. Recently, I had a project where the customer wanted to send information about new leads, but via text message. So I couldn't use like a table where I just put all the details inside. More, I needed to use like a sentence, which makes it a little bit human. Looks like a text message where you would just type the information. This lead has just been created with this lead source, and that's the phone number. Please call back. So let's step number 2, check the data, whether we do have this. So we've got first name, last name, usually here. Mobile phone is available here as well, and lead source is available as well. So what we want to do is we want to create a nice, neat sentence which can be sent out via text message later on. And we create this sentence just in order to make it simple, and we have it already available in the description field. So step number 3, let's start with the workflow itself. Then I would go to the admin area and go to my workflow manager. Then I create a new workflow, and I would now split things up. So first I want to focus only on the creation of this sentence. So create or compute like text sentence from new lead. So then let's quickly go through the details here as well. If we're working with several people as admins, as workflow builders, then it makes sense to assign this always to the person who created the workflow, because you know who to ask in case of questions. Workflow module. So this should be working or triggered by the leads module. Status is active. You can set this to inactive if you want to do like imports and you don't want to have things happening like internal, external communication or something. Then you can just temporarily set this to inactive if you don't need it. Run. When do you want to run this? So only on save, only in the scheduler. Here we want to run it only on save. Scheduler would be maybe once a week or once a month or something. Run on all records. No, we just want to do this for new records. And repeated runs would be if I modify those records and I want to calculate something, recalculate it every time a record is modified. Then I would hit the repeated runs. And run on import, just in case you're importing big amounts of data, like 5,000 or whatever, 5,000 new leads. You don't want to send out 5,000 text messages. So be a bit careful with those things here. But overall, we're good to go now and start with the conditions. So the conditions, we're pretty open to any lead here. So we would just send out the sentence anyway. So therefore, at the moment, I wouldn't add any conditions, but we really have to think about these criteria. Maybe we want to exclude all imported leads or something. So therefore, be a bit careful and define it if you can define it. Action. I want to do calculate fields. So this is basically what should be the outcome. And then calculate sentence. So, and here what I need to do now is several things. I would create parameters, and we said before in our process definition we wanted to have the first name, and I add this as a parameter. I wanted to have the last name, and I add it as a parameter, as well as the, what did we say, the lead source and the mobile phone number. Mobile and the lead source. So now, as you can see, I've got 4 parameters. The parameters are starting from 0, so 0 through 3. And these are now, when I create the lead, kind of in the RAM, so they're there and accessible. So what I do now is I want to fill in the description. So therefore I'm using my description field, and I add a formula to the description field. So very simple, what I do now is the lead, and now I would add my parameter. So I want to call it like first name, and now I can just copy and paste it and change the parameter, because now it's last name with the mobile number. And now I would paste this again, and it is the mobile number from parameter 2 has just signed up via, and now I want to know where they signed up from, and therefore I'm adding the parameter number 3. So this is my quick sentence. Here I've got all the information. I know where they came from, so I can relate to this path in the phone call, and I can just click on the phone number later on in my text message, and it will directly connect me, or will start dialing the lead phone number. That looks good. I save it, and now we just have to test it. So let's create a new lead, and I'll just enter first name, last name, and the mobile phone number should be something like this. And additionally, I want to have the lead source, and I just say this would be from public relations. Then I click on save, and then afterwards I check the lead. And as you can see in the description, it already, during saving the lead, has produced my end result. And now I would be able to build other workflows which are depending on this. Let's say that the description is not empty, and then I could go and send it via text message, for instance. One more thing that I wanted to show to you. So you can not only do this one, you can do way more with those calculated fields. And you see on the SuiteCRM documentation area, you've got workflow calculated fields, 1 page. And there it explains a little bit on how it works. So you've got the parameters, you've got parameters from relationships maybe as well. So you don't only want to have like from the lead itself, but maybe from the related phone call or something, some information. And then you can add this one as well. And then you need to create the formula, what we just did for what should be the result inside the field. And now what I mentioned before, the function. So we can not only add like text and add it together or something, we can do really difficult things. So here we can multiply something, we can add, we can divide, subtract. So we've got logical functions. Is something equal or not equal to? Is it greater to? So, and then if you want to see a whole overview, you would search for functions. And then if you go through this, you see that they've got text functions. You can, for instance, do like a substring where you just cut part of the string out. You've got the length. So just in case of this string is longer than 20 characters, and then this one should happen. Text functions, and then you've got mathematical functions, and you've got date functions. So there's a lot of stuff that you can use inside those functions. So just to give you an example, for instance, in one project, we had salespeople being responsible for different postal codes or zip code areas. And then I've simply used those functions here, checked how those zip code areas started, and then according to what's the starting digit, and then assigned it to the correct person. You can use it for lead distribution, you can use it for lead scoring, you can use it for calculating, pre-calculating KPIs on something. So it's very, very complex. It can be a bit clunky or cumbersome if you check out the syntax here. As you can see, you have to put it into like nest the whole thing, which can be a bit difficult. But once you figured out the nesting and how to put it, it's working fairly smoothly. So you just need to get the nesting and the functions correct, and then you can do very powerful stuff with those features. Okay, let's quickly recap. We've built a workflow that generates a nice sentence, a human-readable sentence with data from our leads module. And we've done so in the 4-step process of creating workflows, namely step number 1, to define the process, step number 2, to check the data, whether it's there, whether it's correct, whether it's what we expect it to be. Step number 3, actually building out the workflow, this time with calculated fields. And step number 4, testing and eventually deploying to the CRM system and to your team. If you want to go much deeper on workflows and automation in the CRM system, check out my website and my courses on workflow automations in the CRM system. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.